UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Infinite diversity.
Love mankind and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I'm your host for today, Brandon Shea Mutella, and joining me as always are my ever-constant co-hosts, Christy and Justin. Christy, how are you doing today? It's nice to see that you're joining in the holodeck adventures where everybody gets to be naked all the time. It's your future that you love, the future you've been waiting for with no nudist taboos.
Hey. People need to calm down about the human and humanoid and other alien-type bodies. I had a whole thing set up about how I couldn't get the engineering door open, but that's okay.
Excellent. Right on. Well, we're about to have some fun here, Justin. It's good to see you. There's something wrong with my thing, though. I mean, you're not wearing a shirt, and half of the bottom lower half of your screen is covered with a black bar.
Well, you know, Brandon, I can't tell where I end and you begin. So it's quite appropriate. No, wait, this is real life. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm doing well. Somehow I knew from podcasting with you before you would latch onto this like a magnet, but it's fine.
Yes. It's once again, all my favorite types of jokes are here right in our face, spread-eagled right before us on this new episode of Lower Decks.
Did you write out things to say, little euphemisms and things? Okay. I know, it's all right in the episode.
No, I did not. It's all right there. Joining us, as always, we have a special guest, and I'm not sure if she's excited or worried, but Heather Kirby, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing, Heather?
I'm good. Probably a little bit of both. So, yeah.
Reasonable.
But we'll navigate this naked time together.
Ooh.
Yes. It's going to be a wonderful naked time today here on the show.
Come on, Brandon. It wasn't like the whole episode. It was just part of it. But yeah.
Well, only the best parts. Heather, tell us about your history with Star Trek.
Well, I started watching Star Trek probably when I was in grade school. I started with TNG because TNG is actually exactly the same age that I am. But I didn't really get into the fandom until Discovery came out. So I'm a huge fan of Discovery. And then after watching Discovery, I went back and watched everything. So I'm a completist now. And yeah, I love a lot of the new shows. Lower Decks is actually not my favorite of all the new shows, but I appreciate it for what it is. And it's something that doesn't take itself too seriously. So
no, that's
you gotta like that.
That's okay, Heather, because I'm sure, as you've probably seen when I post my reviews on Twitter, it's not my favorite show either, although maybe it felt a little differently about this week's episode. But I feel you for the most part on that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right on. Well, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you here. Before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make this show possible, particularly our associate producers Justin Oser and David Willett. Listeners, we'd love to add your name to this list, and we can do that with your monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/UFP.earth. And if you contribute at the new $100 a month level, you can join in our holodeck adventures where you can be a Lower Decks member yourself, sleep in a hallway, stack, weird shaped boxes and things like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you get no pesto.
No pesto. Yes, no pesto. I love pesto.
Yeah.
Pesto's so good.
Yeah, that would not be a good thing.
Yes.
Gotta have pesto. Okay, so we've got a little bit of news coming today, and I am going to throw all disorder out of the window and say I'm going to start with the second piece that you've posted.
Oh,
Justin,
how dare you!
Excited about
but okay.
I'm excited about the soundtrack coming on October 8th. If only they cared about a certain selection of their customer base and would release it on CD. However, digitally, it will be available. The Lower Decks soundtrack is coming on October 8th. Justin, will you be purchasing this digitally?
I don't think so, actually. I mean, I think as we've talked before, I have all the Discovery soundtracks, and I might have the Picard season 1 as well, because I'm really into those shows, really enjoy the music. I think Lower Decks actually does have really good music, but I can't say that I'm going to go out of my way to like listen to the music. Sorry, I'm probably not going to.
Do you have many of the TNG soundtracks? Because this music is very like today's episode even is like ripped out of TNG.
It's funny that you talk about it because like there's a lot of music I love in Star Trek, but I don't tend to buy soundtracks for anything really. So it's actually rare that I've picked up the ones for Discovery and Picard. So I'm not the best person, although I know, Brandon, you're a huge fan of soundtracks and Star Trek soundtracks, and sounds like you'll be getting it, at least digitally. No,
absolutely not. I will not be buying this. Buying things digitally is a crime. These things do not exist when you're buying something digitally, and I will not spend my money on digital things. Nope. I know
what is wrong with you?
I will not buy digitally.
Why do I co-host this with you?
If that's the only way it's out, I mean,
okay, Brandon, like as we've talked about, I totally get that. Like, I get physical books absolutely whenever I can, and I'm a big connoisseur of, listening to music on vinyl. Like, I understand the physical stuff. But if it's only available digitally and I want it, I will get it digitally. So you can just have your weird boycott over there. That's fine.
One of us will get it and we'll burn him a copy.
Oh, I love you
like
guys.
It's 1997.
There you go.
Yeah. Would that be you, Chrissy? That would be the rebel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I miss Napster so much.
We do not participate in piracy of music, nor do we suggest that our listeners do that as well.
Of course not.
Heather, are you going to be buying the soundtrack for Lower Decks?
Probably not. I think I bought the soundtrack for season 1 of Picard, and I had been wanting to buy the soundtracks for Discovery, but I never actually got around to it. I love the music from at least the opening thing of Lower Decks, but I'm not a big instrumental person, so it's just not something I listen to all the time randomly. So I'm not going to spend the money on it if I'm not going to listen to it.
That's okay. Chrissy by herself is going to keep the fandom going by buying this, because we know that we have to buy Star Trek related stuff for Star Trek to keep going. So thank you, Chrissy, for your service in doing that.
Okay.
You've been voluntold to buy this.
I like that, voluntold. Yeah. I'm not much for soundtracks either. I mean, I love listening to music with words, and I do love some this. The music on these shows is beautiful, and it's wonderful. But I don't know. I think I've bought maybe 5 soundtracks in my life. I'm trying to think. The extended cut of Dances of Wolves. The 2 discs, super set that was, Jurassic Park, because who doesn't need that piece of music? Yeah. Star Trek 6. I think actually that might be it.
Well, Star Trek 6 is the best.
Just musical.
I've just had the penny drop here, okay, and I need to know this. Justin,
yes.
I need to know why either you have lied to me for years and told me you've listened to melodic tracks, or I need to know why the hell you actually were listening to melodic tracks.
I have not lied. I did listen to melodic tracks, and I loved it, and I loved listening in that format. Okay, and let's be honest, I do listen to Star Trek soundtracks sometimes on YouTube. No, but I did, and I love that, but I don't tend to go out of my way to spend money on Star Trek music. But because I was listening to the podcast, and Melodic Tracks was getting the license, and I could listen to it for free because of that, I did. So,
okay.
And there was discussion about it too. It wasn't just there.
Yeah. Well, I think they released Discovery Season 2 on CD. I'm pretty sure they did. It's if they did, I bought it behind me, but I don't. I know I don't have Discovery Season 3, and I don't have Picard, and I will not have.
Yeah, but Brandon, I hear you about that, because there are still people that listen to stuff on CD. Like for my wife's band, there's a good number of people that buy it on CD because that's how they prefer to listen to it. So it's still out there. It's not true that nobody's listening to stuff on CDs.
See, it's not even that. Mm-hmm. It's not even that, because whenever I buy a CD, I just rip it and put it on my iPad, right? right? I like very even rarely listen to my CDs. It's the fact that I want to spend money on something that I can physically own. It is mine.
Tangible. Okay.
Right? And so like if I'm not paying for something that is purely digital because I can't hold it. And so to me, there's no value to it, right? I don't see value in something digital.
Wow.
Like John Jackson Miller himself touched, we're going way up on a tangent here. John Jackson Miller touched on
Keep
it
ranting.
in our interview where he's like, there's this new thing where people are like paying exorbitant amount of money to have some kind of JPEG that's like an only version
stuff,
of this
yeah.
JPEG. And it's like, like what is wrong with people? I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I
hear
to
you
me,
on that, but
something purely digital. And I know that there are people listening who are like creators of art and whatnot. Like our friend Aaron Harvey creates art digitally and whatnot. But it's like, I don't know. Like there's just something in my head that if I'm buying something, I need to own it. I need to own a copy.
If we're going to
of
get further into the philosophy of it, I can totally understand, holding and owning and like having something physically in your hand to feel it. But just because something's digital doesn't mean that there isn't value, because you can get a lot of value from an experience of something that's only digital. So I do it all the time when I watch Star Trek on Paramount Plus. Like I don't own the thing, hold the thing, but I get a lot out of it by seeing it that way.
But I buy them all on Blu-ray when they come out.
And I've started actually not buying them on Bluray, which is weird. I'm such a bad fan.
Heather, you can tell us all to shut up. Right? It's okay. This is some weird, bizarre conversation that we're having here. What do you think? Is there value, Heather, or what? I don't know.
I mean, I do think you definitely both have points. Like I'm the type of person, like Justin mentioned books originally. Like I don't use e-readers or anything like that. I have to have a physical book. So I understand both sides of it. Like when it comes to visual or audio media, it's easier for me to have it digitally just because I don't have a CD player anymore or even a TV. Like I watch everything on my computer.
Oh, okay.
So that's just my personal preference, but I get wanting to have something physical because especially when it comes to like reading, I like to have an actual book and not have it on digital. So I understand both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chrissie, do you have anything to contribute to my asinine theories and opinions?
It's all valid. It's how you feel.
No, you're not asinine. I worked at Barnes & Noble when the Nook came out, and that was the first big e-reader. The way early aughts where you had it was a screen like this and it was only in black and white and it kind of looked like a Game Boy. And I railed against it with all my being while at the same time thinking, oh, that's like Star Trek.
Now you read your books on your e-reader. Yeah.
And it took my second semester teaching. I had a notebook that was 3 inches thick. And I was like, oh, wait, if I have a tablet, I can put my lectures on the tablet. Boom. And that converted me. And I love a physical book.
But you're not paying for your lectures.
No, I should be paid for my lectures. No, but I buy the Star Trek books on here too.
But Brandon, like when you're buying something, when you talked about the NFTs, and I think that's a whole other ridiculous
that
thing
is
for
a whole
having
other
value
thing.
for that.
Yeah,
but if you're talking about like a digital experience of something that's audio, or a book or something like that, you're paying for the experience. It's not like there isn't value. There can be a tremendous amount of value to that experience that you're effectively buying. Because let's be honest, when you buy the physical thing, the book, you are buying the experience as well. It's the experience of reading the book as well as holding and flipping through it. You're buying an experience. Anyway, I'm not going to convince you. That's okay.
No.
But also, like most of the stuff that's digital, isn't that cheaper than buying it physically, though?
Can be.
So does it devalue the experience because you're paying less for it?
No, to me that makes it better because you got it cheaper.
It increases the value for Chrissie for the money she's saving.
I'm just trying to be a devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
No,
All right,
I mean,
listeners, tell us about your digital or physical philosophy.
There's a lot of...
Get off my lawn, you digital kids.
We're going to come running to you when the electronic storm destroys the internet and we don't have any hard copies of anything. So
there you go.
Yeah, yep.
There you go.
I'll be like, ha ha ha, I knew my copy of Children of the Corn 5 on DVD would come in handy someday.
Well, she talked about an electronic storm. Where would you play that DVD anyway?
good point.
I would get on a bike and I would like pedal a battery.
Okay.
You do that.
Good.
I just...
Anywho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving along.
You know what?
Moving
However
along,
you want to
back-
take in Star Trek books or whatever, do it. Enjoy it. And, That's fine.
Yeah, and don't worry what Brandon thinks. He's odd.
Who cares what I think? Nobody cares what I think. It's all good. Okay, so our other news is that the Star Trek Explorer fiction magazine has got some authors revealed. So this is an article on TrekCore as well. So last month we told you about a newly redesigned and revamped official Star Trek magazine called Star Trek Explorer that's set to arrive to fans this November. And today TrekCore has exclusive details on the fiction that's to be a part of every issue. Debut set of Star Trek fiction in Explorer #1 comes from Una McCormick and James Swallow. Ooh. And also contributing fiction are going to be writers Lisa Klink, who wrote over a dozen Voyager episodes, including one of the best Voyager episodes, The Omega Directive. Chris Cooper, who's written several Doctor Who and Torchwood stories. So this is pretty exciting.
I think it's really exciting. So yeah, this is kind of a relaunch of the Star Trek magazine. They're doing this Explorer magazine. I actually didn't realize for the kind of previous version of the Star Trek magazine, they did have some fiction related to Star Trek Online, and they're actually making, I think, a little compilation of that's going to come out next year. But now, I think each month they're going to have fiction in this, so I'm like, this is a great reason for me to buy this, because I love Star Trek fiction, and, these are some great authors that they have. In fact, we have Una McCormack on our next episode talking about her Spock autobiography. So, yeah, I was excited about this, and I think if we can, we should kind of talk about these stories here. But yeah, Chrissy, what do you think about this?
I like it. I'm happy about it. I have a digital subscription to the Star Trek magazine.
That's okay.
But I usually
won't excommunicate you like Brandon would.
Yeah, but I usually end up. What's funny? I usually end up reading it in hard copy. Sometimes when I go to sit at the bookstore, I have a cup of coffee with Jay. When there wasn't a pandemic. But I'm glad to see that. As somebody who used to walk into the little local-owned bookstore when I was 10 with all of my allowance money and shell it out for, there was the TNG magazine, the DS9 magazine. Eventually there was the Voyager magazine, and then there was the Communicator. So they had, sorry, because I wasn't as big of a fan then. So they had separate magazines by show, like each month? Wow, that's kind of amazing. Yep.
But, I guess you didn't have as much of the internet to get stuff, so that was your way of, reading about the shows, right? Yeah.
This was genuinely pre-internet, or at least widely available internet.
Yeah, very cool. So Heather, I know we talked actually before we started recording whether you read Star Trek books. I think you've read some, and there's some fiction that's coming in these magazines. Is that something that sounds interesting to you?
Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. I love magazines. It's one of those things that you don't really see a whole lot of them anymore. So I really feel like it's a throwback, but I would definitely, I had no idea they were putting fiction stories into it. So that definitely makes me more interested in it than I was before. So I definitely want to check those out.
That's really cool. Yeah. In fact, I saw this magazine was coming and I was like, I don't know, Star Trek magazine's cool. And then there were exclusive fiction. I was like, I am definitely getting this now. That pushed me to say I'm getting it because I'm just so obsessed with reading as much Star Trek fiction, official fiction, I should say, as I can get. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It looks like, just looking at the subscription page here, it's going to be hard copy, and then you get online extras.
Yeah, there's
but it
extra
doesn't say
digital
there's an electronic
stories,
copy.
I think.
So
I
that's
think
interesting.
there probably would be.
I
don't know,
imagine there wouldn't be,
but there you go. At least a lot of that content will be in a physical magazine for you, Brandon. So will you get it?
Woohoo!
Look at it this way: you can't get a digital subscription to this. You can only get a hard copy subscription.
Is that what it seems like?
This is the way it should be.
That's what it reads to me.
This is the way.
Yeah, this is the way.
But there's also an exclusive digital supplement. So if we're talking about all the stories, you'll have to compromise your principles, Brandon, and get the extras. Anyway, but no, I mean I think it's
no. See, that's what you don't understand. If I buy the magazine and those are digital extras that they're giving me for
you
free,
love it,
fine with that.
I've not spent money on that because they're just saying, here, access this
So
thing
your
for
weird
no
thing
charge.
is just not spending money on digital content.
That's right. It's
Okay, got
that's
it.
right.
So I could give you all the free. I could like give you all the free ebooks and content if I pirated it. Which listeners don't do that. But if I did that, you would be fine because you're not paying for it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So.
Oh wow, this is interesting. Okay,
It's a very specific niche
that's
Who
kind of
knew?
your
of a problem.
that's kind of your thing.
Yeah. Who knew this would be the thing we went off on a tangent about this episode?
Yeah. All right.
Okay, well, let's jump into the discussion of the episode today. Excretus. Chrissy?
Yes.
It's a Borg reference. It's not a poo reference.
It is a Borg reference, and it's a Latin reference, and it's a Latin Borg reference.
Yes. So does this add anything to it now that we know the context of it being a name? Was there like King Excretus of the Roman Empire or anything like that? Lord Excretus?
No, they were all like that. Okay, so Excretus is the original Latin word from which excrement and all of its versions are derived in English and French and Italian and Spanish, okay? But in Latin, in its base form, it actually means, where did I put it? To have separated, okay? Which makes sense in the context of, excrement and all that. But get this, okay? When does Boimler say that? After they've pulled him off the machine.
They pull him out. Yeah.
He's been separated. And then Locutus, of course, is I have spoken. I speak for the Borg. That everybody knows that one. So he.
But also as he's coming out, he's starting to say they put implants up my, and I think it's implied where that
ear.
went. But but yeah, it is more that he's separated now from that thing, which is pretty interesting.
I don't get the implication. Tell me, Justin.
Yeah, it's the place that excrement comes from, I think. That's all I'll say about it.
Terrible.
This is quite the episode.
Heather, what are your initial thoughts of the episode?
I really like this episode. I love the whole basic underlying theme of it, which was kind of the lower deckers and the ensigns getting to experience what it's like to be command positions, and then the commanders having to experience lower decks, and then both of them ultimately coming together at the end. So I really like the underlying story that went through the entire episode, amongst all the other nostalgia that they threw in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chrissy, what are your thoughts on the episode?
I keep going back and forth. Is this my favorite of the series so far, or is it just like top 3 favorites of the series so far? I think it's fantastic. I watched this. I watched this by myself Thursday morning, and was laughing out loud in a room with a cat. So it was like I don't usually laugh out loud.
Did you startle the cat?
Yeah, well, he's easily startled, sitting back there. But yeah, I mean, usually, and then I was so, like, I could not wait for Jay to get home so that I could be like, you gotta see this, it's so good, you gotta see it. So, yeah, I think it was great. I mean, it hit all the right points, and there had been people finding new stuff that was in the background that nobody even realized until later, and yeah, this is good stuff. It is a classic story, though, isn't it? Taking the people from the bottom and putting them on top, and flipping around. And I'll bring that back to the Latin, because the Romans had a festival called the Saturnalia, where people switch spots. So,
Everything gets turned upside down. Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Right on. Justin, you hated it. We know.
Oh, such assumptions you make. Yeah, I mean, of course, as listeners who listen to this show for a while know, I haven't been a fan of most of the episodes of Lower Decks. I really like 2 in the first season, and then the Tom Paris one earlier this season. But I think I surprised myself by really, really loving this episode. I think it's my favorite of Lower Decks for a couple reasons.
What?
Yeah, I know.
This one is shocked.
Yes, that one is quite
Talk
shocked.
about flipping it from flipping things around.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, I always try to have an open mind on these, just because I haven't liked them before, I might like them now. But anyway, so there's a couple reasons. So first of all, I did think it was hilarious. I love the concept of them being in these, like, holographic pods, which I think it's really funny. It's so small, but of course, in Star Trek fashion, there's, like, this huge thing that they can run in and do all kinds of stuff in, right? But, like, all of these scenarios, the weird mirror universe scenario, and, like, Mariner on the horse and the Borg thing and like the Naked Time one. It was just like, for me, as I've talked about before, one of the things I really like is kind of absurd humor, and there were so many really absurd things in here. And there was also a good explanation for it, that the Pandronian was just trying to make it impossible just so that she could keep her job doing these drills. So that made sense. But also something that I really liked that you mentioned, Heather, is that they get to understand what each other is doing. And at the end, they're really like, okay, I understand, we can work together. Like, this episode was everything that I've wanted Lower Decks to be this whole time, which is something that I find really funny because they're put in these absurd situations. And also something that where it really fosters the teamwork and working together, which is something I love about Star Trek. So I laughed a lot. I just loved it through and through, the message and everything. And I know there's some like extreme stuff that people get worked up about, but it didn't really bother me. I just thought, this is hilarious what they're doing. It's unexpected. I really like what they're doing. So I loved it. Yeah. One of those rare occasions. So enjoy them while they last, listeners. It might change next week. So Brandon,
awesome.
You hated it because you always feel the opposite that I do, right?
I loved this episode.
What?
This episode was firing on all cylinders.
I mean,
this episode was
come on,
amazing.
if our three hosts feel the same way and love it, what are we going to talk about?
There's clearly a rip in the fabric of reality somewhere.
I know, is this like an alternate timeline?
You know,
but yes, tell us why.
Yes,
Tell us why you loved it.
honestly, Justin, everything that you said there, like, it's the humor really worked for me. It was using this is also what I want the humor for Lower Decks to be all the time. It's using what's unique to the Star Trek universe and like turning it into a comedic joke, a comedic beat. Yeah. You know, like every single scenario they were going through, I was laughing. I actually did laugh out loud quite a few times in every single one of them. The humor and the beats were just brilliant and perfectly timed. You know, like, it was wonderful. My favorite joke that I laughed the loudest of was when Mariner said I could pretend to be evil. Like she isn't already evil, right? Anyways.
We know you don't like you know...
But no, honestly, though, every situation, though, I was absolutely laughing out loud. Like, some of the perfect beats were, like, even the Klingon medical one. You know, like, just some of the beats.
So
in that
I want to say for
perfect.
the Klingon one, I definitely laughed out loud when the Klingon said, "You must help me kill myself. I broke my back picking up a peanut." It's just
Peanuts,
it's just like so absurd and so
God.
the opposite of something that's honorable. I just couldn't help. Okay, so I think sorry to like interrupt you, Brandon, but like one of the things that I really like as well is a lot of the humor is coming from these absurd kind of fake holographic scenarios. One of the things I haven't liked about Lower Decks sometimes is that some of the humor has come at expense of some of the real characters, you know, fighting with each other and doing all this stuff. But because they were all in it together in these totally crazy situations, that's one of the reasons it worked for me. It didn't have to do with like the crew members, you know, kind of getting on each other, but they're all in it together in these crazy scenarios. So that's why it worked.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a challenging episode to discuss because, like, as far as, like, topic, like, there isn't a lot of meat on the bones to discuss. They're all put in, like, a lot of weird situations that are funny with a lot of wonderful callbacks to Star Trek, right? And, I mean, like, but there isn't much for an overall story.
I do have something that's a bit philosophical I wanted to talk about at some point, but...
Okay, well, do you want to jump in right now, and then we can just kind of talk about
I guess before we get to that, so like Heather, I mean, I think you had talked about, you know, generally liking the episode and what was going on, but like, are there other things that you were thinking about that you really liked about it, or issues that you had? I'm just kind of curious to see how you feel overall.
You know, I mean, I didn't really have any issues with it. No, I mean, unlike so many people who had the obvious issues with the episode. No, I didn't have any issues with that. The one thing I do wanted to kind of point out was how Boimler was the one person who didn't fail. Okay, so he kept going over and over because he wanted to get the perfect score, but all of these simulations were designed for them to fail. So what's the flaw in Boimler's thinking that somehow he's the one that passed everything?
Boimler is just that awesome, I guess. Like
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny too, because you're setting it up like they're gonna fail, and Boimler's like, the Borg, I know what to do here, and he's just being amazing, and he's like, I escaped in the sphere. I thought that was funny because like he's the only one that gets it, but like I think they've shown in Lower Decks he is kind of like Mr. Starfleet and like all about the best way to do things, but. Yeah,
because there was that one episode in season 1 where they were like giving them all like time limits and schedules and things, and Boimler was the only one succeeding, who absolutely loved it, and everybody else was failing miserably at it. So it felt kind of like a callback to that, where this was a situation where Boimler could succeed and get the best score, and everybody else failed.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, like, the more I think about it, the more I wonder what that really says about Boimler as a Starfleet officer, or at least a character on the show, because I can't really articulate what that says about him in this context, you know?
Yeah.
I was expecting at the end of it, like the last scenario was all they were all together, and they would have all gotten a passing grade together. But because Boimler had to sacrifice, he would have been the only one with a failing grade. Is how the first time I was watching it, that's how I thought that show was going to be ending. Everybody else would have pulled up to a full positive 100%, and he would have ended up with a 0 or something like that, and then it would have like ruined something for him. I thought that would have been a funny way to end the episode, but they didn't do that. That's okay. So.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing I really thought of watching the episode was that there were so many callbacks between the simulations, but when they were actually trying to convince the drill instructor to give them a passing grade, like that whole sequence of finding dangerous situations to be in felt like the Voyager episode Scientific Method.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought, like, because people always look at that episode like, oh, Janeway was under so much stress, and like Captain Freeman is not under that, like, the same kind of stress, but she's doing the same thing. So I thought that was kind of cool too.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Justin, did you want to talk about your overall thing that you said?
Well, so the thing I wanted to talk about for a little bit that I hadn't really thought about the first time, but then I was like going through it a second time. I was like, wait a minute, because I was just laughing.
Did you watch it a second time, or did you read it?
I read the transcript the second time. So, Heather, this is something that I've done sometimes. I've watched the episode, and then there's a transcript you can read. And partly, honestly, that's because I haven't liked some of these episodes. I would have liked to rewatch it, but I didn't have the time. But I was kind of going through the transcript. But so I came across that, and I was like, wait a minute. So I think at one point they're talking about, the different drills, and, someone mentions the one where Mariner couldn't even get on the horse. And she says, how do you know about that? The drills are public, Beckett. I watched the playback. So, okay. When I think about that, I'm like, so they're able to watch all of these scenarios and how they're going through it. So is it the case with the Naked Time scenario? I mean, they're basically like watching Mariner in a pornographic scenario. Like, what the heck? And she doesn't even know that they're watching it. There's something messed up about that that I didn't notice the first time. So I just wanted to point that out and see what you guys think of that they're doing this, that it's something that anyone can watch.
Well, I think that if Mariner's watching and other people are watching Mariner and she doesn't know that she's being watched, that frickin' Magato is going crazy at that moment.
I know you like that, and I didn't like that part of the Magato episode, but I mean, seriously, I think there is like an ethical concern here, because they didn't tell them beforehand that like they'd be watched in doing this, and I think there's hopefully usually like some kind of, well, I think maybe mostly an unwritten rule that when you're in the holodeck, people aren't like watching what you're doing. It's supposed to be like a private space. But anyway.
They do say that everybody's results are going to be available.
The results, but not like watching what happens.
No, I
like,
understand.
It's one thing to say, oh, you got 0%, and it's another to be like, hey, look at Mariner reacting to naked Billups on naked Ransom. Like that's the different level.
Stevens. So. Billups was in the back with a pad.
Oh, was it Stevens?
How did
anyway?
It's a guy that adores Ransom. He follows him around.
Okay. Sorry, that was my shipping in my head.
How did she not know that it was public though? Like everybody else knew it was public. How did she not know that it was public?
Somehow she didn't. Like clearly they haven't informed everyone, but like the word's gotten around or something. But they haven't told everyone before they enter. Hey guys, whatever happens in here, anybody can watch. Are you okay with that?
Well, they are expecting this to be a professional exercise, So I guess that reduces the amount of stuff that people might not want others to see. I mean, if you think about it, have you ever been in on one of those ridiculous office team building things?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's all public. It's
Which
not
is generally like in a room with real people, not with holograms. So
yeah.
No, but I mean, it's different because you're not thinking that there would be anyway. It's just the one thing in the episode that I was like, I don't know about that. But,
that is a point. No, I mean you're not wrong about that by any means. So.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it is weird. Like, yes, it is weird that they would have that as a scenario, but it is hilarious also, right?
Oh, it's really funny.
It's hard to be like, I don't know, it's weird.
And they have it as a scenario because, the Pandronia is like, let's get something that's really impossible that's going to make Mariner fail. So, and that's why, not because it's like an appropriate thing. Well, I mean, yeah, she should file like an human resources complaint about this scenario, I think. It's very inappropriate, but very funny.
I don't feel like she's in a position to file any complaints about anything without having other complaints thrown in her face.
Right about that. But Heather, what do you think about this concern that I have?
Well, I mean, you make a definite point, especially when you think about like how the scenario impacted her. Like, because I mean, Captain Freeman brings this up while they're on the bridge after she gets freaked out watching Shaq stretch because she's imagining him in the scenario.
Right.
Like, so it definitely left an impact on her. And then to know that it was public and everybody else got to see what she went through. Yeah, like it's definitely... It's definitely an HR issue for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's just one of those things they slipped in there. And I was thinking like, they didn't necessarily have to have dialogue around this. It's like a specific choice that they're inserting a story reason that they know like what's happened. But yeah.
Well, or it is something that like, it could have been worded differently. Not that it was public, but that because she was the captain, she got to see the results, like
because she was the captain, she got to watch her daughter in a pornographic scenario.
But I mean, it would.
Okay, her daughter wasn't in the pornographic scenario. She walked in and like the thing.
No. Okay, let's be clear about the technicality. She's not participating in it, but anyone that is like in this thing. It's porn that she's a part of, even if she's just strolling through the hallway. But anyway,
it would have been slightly better if it was just like, oh, because she's the captain, she got to view everyone's drill results instead of it being public. Like the way they worded that, it was public to the entire ship, which makes it worse. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's my thing on the.
Chrissy. Yeah, Chrissy, you had something you wanted to add to this. You said, I'll get to that.
Oh, it was about the whole people complaining about naked Boimler thing, so I didn't know if we wanted to get into that yet, but I can.
Let's do it. Well, we're here. Let's do it.
So...
Second time that we've had Boimler covered up by a black bar.
Yeah. He's getting around.
He's giving...
Just like Q, I hope this is something we see every season.
That would be funny.
Black bar on a different part of his body every season, yeah.
Well, it's been the same so far. Expanded around,
I guess you could
for
say
what's
that,
visible.
But...
And it doesn't have to be a sexual situation. They could stick him in the showers with the rest of the crew like they did at the other episode. Anyway.
Okay.
So I'm really glad that we're recording on Sunday this week because I had one of those days like on Thursday. Other than sitting down to watch this, I was running around doing stuff all day. So I didn't look at Twitter much, and I didn't see all these people complaining about Boimler and his spreading to the gods, okay? And
that's one way to put it.
I stole that from Ozzy Man. That's good.
Oh.
If you don't watch Ozzy Man, he's really funny. He's an Australian guy. Anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, so I see that. I see the complaints. I'm like, yep, I knew that was going to happen. When we saw it in the episode, people are going to be complaining about this. Fine. What got me was that I saw no complaints about the Andorian and the human woman kissing. I saw, not even mentioned, Okay. I saw no complaints or mention about Stevens riding Ransom and hitting him with a riding crop and the whole, I don't know where you end and I begin, right? No one has said anything about, or I have not seen anything about Shax and Tiana, okay?
You got
Both
to see
nude.
quite a bit of
Okay.
Ta'ana, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Oh, so you've seen people talking about Ta'ana?
No,
then?
I haven't seen. No, I was just thinking about it as I was watching, like, and I saw a still, and I was like, that shows
Yeah.
more of Tana than I thought. And how should I put this delicately? Like, I mean,
Covered in fur.
No. I was gonna say, like, the way they depict it, it's more suggestive than just like they're naked together. But anyway,
She's very obviously a female mammal too.
yes,
There was some definite side boob there,
but yeah, what you were saying is that, like, yeah, people haven't talked as much about that. They're talking more about Boimler. Yeah,
right. And I'm just going to put it out there and then let it go. But there is an element of, how to put this? Why am I trying to be delicate? There's an element of potential bestiality there too. And I realize she's supposed to be a humanoid cat person, and there's intermixing and all, this is Star Trek and that's fine. But there is that implication. So
I think this is quite different than that, but
Okay, and I will add something to what you're saying here. So, like, I'm not on social media right now. Today is 3 weeks in a row, and I'm loving it. It's wonderful. So I've missed all of this
You're
drama, which I'm
healthier
just
for it.
fine with.
I just ignore it.
However, 90% of what you've just meant, I've seen the episode twice. 90% of what you just mentioned, I didn't even notice. Okay, but I mean, like, Boimler's spread eagled crotch out
it's
right in your
easier
face.
to
So
notice.
to the
Yeah.
defense, it is more in your face, right, than the other stuff. Because honestly, I got to go back because I missed all of what you're talking about. Like the thing where you're like with Ransom and the whip, I'm like, I
Yeah,
didn't see
yeah.
that. I didn't see Shax in them. The only thing I shot for Shax and Ta'ana was when they were laying in the bunk together.
Yeah, but it's
right?
it's
that
so
was
much more
adorable because
explicitly.
she's so cat-like. But
Yeah.
yeah, no.
So half of what you said, I didn't even
okay.
notice. So to
Okay.
add that to the defense of the people, they may not have seen those things.
they
as
don't
well.
deserve it. But that's
So
okay. No, actually, because it's funny because like Shax and Tiana tumble out of the room through the doorway, and then that moves into seeing Ransom being ridden by Stevens with the riding crop.
oh, good lord.
Yeah. So I'm not. I generally ignore this because, Justin, you're right. That is the way to deal with it, and these people are just being trolls for the sake of being trolls. But I had to put a poll up on Twitter because I wanted to see. Because once I was thinking about it and I realized that people are complaining about this only around one thing, okay, it started to really bother me. So I put up a poll. It was a yes or no, did the scene bother you? And most people said no. Right now I got 86% with 157 votes. With 12 hours left. And then I asked people if they said yes to go below, and then I had another poll about what bothered people. The overall orgy idea, the generalized nudity, Boimler specifically, or other. Okay. And then I caveated by saying I'm not even going to address the whole, this isn't Gene's vision, because Gene's vision was socialism and sex and space. Okay, so just fine. I'm not even going to mess with that. But the overall orgy idea right now has the highest percentage, 34.6. Boimler specifically, 31%. That's the next one. So what does that say about this? What does it say about these people who are making these complaints? I think it's very interesting that there's a focus on a character who really, you can't really, Boimler's unquestionably male. Okay, but he's not exactly super masculine.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you have this character who is already kind of leaning in that direction, and then you put him in a position of potentially something that people are seeing as, I mean, you can see it as homosexual. I guess it's an orgy. It's everything, but isn't the guy that everybody says is attractive? Jet, isn't Jet the one standing next to him?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that it implies a homosexual activity there, and so I think we've outed some homophobes, or they've outed themselves, rather.
Maybe.
I don't know that I would read it that way. I don't think I would read it that way myself.
Okay.
Like I haven't seen the online discourse, okay? But what you're describing, I think it's more the fact that it's like he's just spread-eagled right there in front of her, right?
He takes up the whole
because
frame.
you've pointed out
He does.
the whole frame. There's other stuff that's been pointed out by you where it's like Ransom's being ridden by some other guy, right?
Oh, yeah, and that's
nobody's
definitely-
complaining about
yeah.
that. And you called out the two women kissing and whatnot, and nobody called out that either, right?
Not that I've seen. I'm not going to say nobody. But.
I think it's more just because this is literally in your face that people are having the problem with it, right? Yeah. So
I'll give you that.
Yeah, because the bar is there, the black bar is there, but the way the rest of the scene is composed, you're looking at what's behind the black bar in your mind.
It's the only
No
black
question.
bar,
So-
I think, right?
Yeah.
Chrissy,
it
it's
is.
the only black bar.
Yeah, because everything else is bums, right? Everything else is just
Yeah.
bums, which it's okay to show on TV, I guess, is bums, right? So
Yeah, there isn't
I don't know.
anything else full frontal, I don't think.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah, what do you make
just-
of all this, Heather?
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is interesting because there were some comments online I saw where people kind of took it the same way you did, Chrissy, and really thought people using Boimler's image like that was a case of homophobia. I'm not. I mean, I can see it, but I also think that there's a lot of people out there in the internet universe who just take the first most in your face thing they see and use that as an example of this is why the new Trek shows are bad. And so that's why Boimler in particular got targeted in that instance, because like Brandon said, it was the most in your face thing out of all the different shots that they did.
True.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where there's probably a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's all meshed in together to people going, oh my God, there's a naked guy on my TV.
And not even.
Yeah, exactly. Not even, but I don't.
Well, what do you mean not? He is absolutely naked on your TV. He's just being blocked by a black, but there's absolutely a naked guy on your TV.
He's a cartoon.
With his legs spread. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right, but it's
Well,
drawn
So
that way. I mean,
pop in Q. Oh, damn it! With Deja Q, and you're actually seeing a naked
Deja
man on
Q.
the screen. You're just not seeing.
Yes, and
He
he was
was actually
actually
naked.
Right.
filming
That's
it.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah. So
But he wasn't engaged in an erotic situation at that exact moment as well. But he wasn't spread eagle to Picard saying, "Look at the big cues here for you," like or anything like that, right?
Oh, I don't think they could have done that in '87 anyway.
There would have been no reason to. That's the other thing too. It's all context, right?
Yeah. The context of it is
it's supposed
this
to make
is-
Mariner go, ugh!
The context is it's an absurd scenario, and this is one of the things they pulled out for an absurd scenario.
Right.
So, yeah. And if you know, Mariner comes in and you see, that's the last part of it that you see. Okay. And up until that point, she's kind of like, I can deal with this, and then it's Boimler, which I think is very intentional.
yeah.
On the part of the
Because
drill
it's her
instructor who's trying to
close-
fail her.
Yeah, it's her close friend, and she does not want to see that. Yeah.
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 Well, okay. So I just, whether or not it's homophobic, I'm not sure, but I did find it interesting that that was the thing people focused on. And yes, it was the most obvious, so there is that. And I certainly agree that that's a reason why it was so focused on, but I don't think it's the only reason. I have one other thing to say that is funny about this.
Okay.
In the late 90s, Dana Carvey had a stand-up show that he did. It was on HBO back when they used to show stand-up and all that. And it was just like Dana Carvey Hour or something like that. It was just a one-off special. I realize this is ridiculous asking, do any of you guys remember that?
I might have seen it at the time, but is there a particular part of it that you're referencing?
Yes, so he's talking about his kids. And his kid, one of the kids is like 2 and refuses to keep their clothes on. So they had to make an agreement with the child that, the hour after dinner, they can run around naked. And he does this whole really funny bit, and then he goes, and the kid just pulls his shirt off, and it's naked time! And that's all I could think about whenever Shaq said that. It was Dana Carvey right there. Yeah. So Very
Interesting.
random bit of reminiscence from the 90s, but that was a favorite stand-up show of mine, and I listened to it incessantly, so couldn't help but make that connection.
I don't have it here. I could pull it up and take a look, but I think in screenshots I think it's in the TNG one. Some of the people frozen on the ground are naked.
Yes.
In
Oh, yeah,
room
they
that
definitely
George
are
was in.
Because there were
supposed to be
people that
naked,
brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah. But they
they're
also weren't
frozen.
spread eagle.
I mean, like
No, they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the context of things, right? Because it's been the case in like a work of art that you can show more nudity than if it's considered to be something erotic or pornographic or something. I mean, there's actually quite a bit of nudity that you've gotten in paintings and sculptures and things that don't get like, you know, bars across them and anybody can look at, right? There is this interesting context for that, right?
Centerpiece of the Sistine Chapel, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's totally naked. Anyway.
Yeah. And that's
it's
a Catholic church.
Context, I've heard it somewhere, but context
Context
is
is for kings, and that is something
kings.
that is something that has been brought up over and over again with this. It's like, because somebody said in my poll, they're like, well, without context, it would have been a problem, but with the context they gave, it was funny and it made sense. And I'm like, under what circumstance is that going to be without context?
Yeah.
I would hope there's
It's actually-
context instead of like episode starts and people are having an orgy in the hallway, like, right? Like you need some reason why this is different than a usual day on the ship, right?
Yeah.
without context. No. Without context is somebody going on Twitter and just complaining of it. If you haven't
Right.
seen it, and that's your out of context, is being exposed to that screenshot on Twitter
And being like,
not having
what are
seen
they
it.
doing
Which is-
without maybe seeing it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gene's vision. So
Trekcore has been having fun with this because they have been putting up everything that can be even moderately seen as potentially lewd up and going, this is Star Trek, this is this is Gene's vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I mean,
I am so glad I'm not on social media right now.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
You're healthier for it. But this one, I think maybe I was just in the right mood to laugh at it. I don't know.
yeah.
I found
But
it
you're-
incredibly funny as opposed to making me mad.
Your poll also tells us that a significant percentage
Yes.
of people that follow you or saw that poll understand the context, I think.
Yeah, because right now it's
And don't have a problem with it,
86.7% don't care. Or it did not bother them, is
Did not
how I
bother.
worded
You know,
it.
and
so.
it's funny because like this totally didn't bother me because of the context, but if we go back to the Mugato episode, that did bother me because it we talked about this. I know you really like that scene, Brendan, but like for me, it bothered me because it seemed unnecessary. Like there wasn't a good context for it. Like, oh yeah, there's this situation, and by the way, there's people having sex, and like the Mugato's the equivalent of masturbating. Haha. Like, and that didn't work for me. I didn't like it. But with this, there is the context of this is somebody doing something totally absurd, and here's the different directions we can push that in. So it worked better for me for that. I know this is hurting your head and doesn't make sense why I don't like
No.
both. But
Poor
It
Heather,
doesn't,
I'm
because
sorry.
It is mind-boggling to me that the Mugato joke did not
didn't
work
work
for
for
you because
me.
that is everything you say you love about it. It was completely unexpected. What is the general thing that happens in that situation? They're mating, and the two males fight over the woman. That's the
I know,
expected
but, like,
situation. The unexpected is that the Mugato is going to enjoy watching them. He's just like, carry on. That was the
Yeah, but
most
for me, that
unexpected
had- And
they don't
joke of
chase
the
him off.
season so far.
yeah, but for me, that had nothing to do.
And they don't chase him
I know,
off.
but that had
Like,
nothing to. For me, that had nothing to do with what was going on. Hold on, with what was going on in that part of the episode, where this is about the Mugatos being taken advantage of and like all this other stuff, and all of a sudden there's this side thing with some sex. I'm like, what? That I didn't laugh because I was like, this is not necessary. And you could argue for this episode, it's not necessary. It's this kind of scenario, but it actually works in the context because you're trying to get people to fail in different ways based on what doesn't work for them. So we're different, Brandon. We're different.
I'll just say one other thing about this that just occurred to me. I think that might have established sentience for the Mugatos, as opposed to them being like just giant apes.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, we already knew that because they were in the New Frontier series. They had a security officer that was a Mugato.
I haven't read
right?
New Frontier.
Not
Okay.
Mugato. Is there? I haven't read all the
Yeah.
New Frontier. I've read like 7 of them,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, they have a security guard as a Mugato
Cool.
on New Frontier.
oh, okay. I may have missed that. Anyway.
Well, there I was trying to create an explanation.
Okay. Heather, so out of these scenarios here, was there any other, scenarios that really, like, they surprised you? Anything that really grabbed your attention?
I like Tendy's scenario with the Klingon, because I think it really showed how she was just a people pleaser and wanted to do the right thing and somehow never ended up doing the right thing properly. Because she wanted to kill him, but then it wasn't an honorable death, and then like he falls off the bed and the other guy's trying to kill him and it's not working. So I really
Time of Life 0900.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really loved her scenario. And Rutherford's as well, because how does he not have gloves in that situation? Like, he just keeps trying to grab the handle until he takes off of his boot. Like,
yeah.
That's how the scenario, it was set up so he could fail. He didn't have the gloves.
So he didn't have the gloves to do it.
Spock had the gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, they were both enjoyable. And the one thing I really liked about the mirror universe scenario is that Boimler was the one that figured her out, and it was only because she used the wrong hand.
Yes.
To do the salute. Like everybody else, like, she could have fooled everyone because Mariner can act that evil. But Boimler, who was the one who knows her the best, was the one that figured her out.
Yeah.
I loved the invasion of the body snatchers joke in that one there, when Boimler's just like like that. So
And we
Donald Sutherland from the remake.
we get an evil Boimler scream as
Yeah.
opposed to a regular Boimler scream, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
I like his evil scream better than his regular scream. I know that's weird to say, but
I think it's absolutely hilarious that that's become a thing.
he screams like in every episode.
Yeah, it's just it's a thing. I love it. Though.
I want to know the obsession with Boimler's skin over the last couple of episodes.
Oh my God.
Like, where's this come from, right? With the Borg Queen, the timing on that one was just really just like, you're almost human, and he's like, I'm human. She's like, oh, your skin. It's so like,
That's great.
and then in the last one, the computer called it out, right? Called out that it was all.
But before we forget, the Borg Queen is voiced by Alex Creed
Yeah, that was
herself.
great.
Yes.
Which I don't think I really like. As I was watching it, I was like, "Who is this? It can't be Alice." No, I'm like, "Oh, it is."
I know. I'm like, this sounds like Alice Krieg. I'm like, this is crazy.
And I also love that that Boimler keeps rescuing Borg babies, which I don't know. Somehow Borg babies are one of my favorite things because you pretty much only see them in Q Who and maybe a little bit in some Voyager stuff, but I thought that was really funny. He just keeps rescuing more and more Borg babies.
I love that.
When you go back to Q Who, it is so strange when he opens that drawer and there's just that baby in there.
You're like,
so
what is going on? Yeah, and they've tried to explain that in the novels. I think that it just there's two different ways that they can make them, or they can capture them or whatever. But so there's one other thing which I thought was hilarious, which is when you get the senior officers trying to stack the crates, which are of course this weird shape that you get in the TNG era, and you just can't stack them up. I love that.
And then he figured it out. And then they fell over.
Oh, that's right. They fall over. So yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that had really good timing and interesting stuff, and so it was
the timing on the explosion of the Enterprise was perfect. Like just the timing of how it blew up was just. I laughed out loud for that one.
It's the Enterprise. Boom. Did any of you guys notice that the Klingon had a horn on the top of his foot, like on their boots?
Yes.
I didn't notice it the first.
Worf has got these weird
Worf
bumps
has
on
bumps,
his feet.
but they're not like horns. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you go back and watch, he's got. It looks like the boots.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice that until I was listening to somebody else was talking about it.
Yeah, and I think, Brandon, when you see Worf's feet in Ethics, where he's like doing the physical therapy or whatever, I think that might be one of the only times in Star Trek that we actually see a good view of Klingon feet. So
I think so.
And yeah, he has like ridges on his feet or something. Yeah,
it's like more spine.
Yeah, there's
like, whoa,
pull some
more
out of his
spine all the way down to his feet.
Yeah. My ridges go all the way down. Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised that Chrissy's focusing on the horny stuff for the Klingon there. So,
nope, don't be surprised at all.
Anywho, okay, so beyond, I don't know, is there anything else we need to discuss? Anything I missed on this? Justin, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean that covers it. I love the episode and hope it continues. Maybe one day I can like 2 Lower Decks episodes in a row.
Maybe.
Heather, anything else you want to talk about that we missed so far? Anything you want to address?
No, I think we about covered everything.
Chrissy, anything else?
No. I was disappointed we didn't see more of the Old West. That was over really quickly. And
Oh.
Spectre of the Gun.
I mean, where could they have, like, in your mind, what would they have done? Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it would have been...
They could have had a Makoshin. They could have had a Makoshin there, right? That would have been fun. So, yeah, I'm good too. I mean, other than it was fun, so it was hilarious. This might be my favorite episode of the show. Like this, I laughed out loud a lot during this episode, and it was a fun romp in the Star Trek universe through the absurd lens of an animated comedy, and I loved every second of it. It was wonderful.
Wow.
It was truly a wonderful episode of the show.
I do have one other thing that was funny. Okay.
Yes.
I've been trying to get my mother to watch this show for the whole time it's been on, right? And she's like, I don't know, other stuff going on, whatever. When does she come in? Thankfully, it was not during the orgy scene, but she comes in and she's like, oh, what are you watching? I'm like, oh, it's Lower Decks. It's the animated Star Trek. And she's like, that doesn't look like the one from the 70s. No, it's not the one from the 70s. She's like, that's really beautiful. I can't believe the artwork. And, blah, blah. And I think it was when Teddy had the Klingon. I don't remember, but it was thankfully not the orgy scene. That would have been hilarious.
I was going to say that would have been awkward.
But, yeah.
She walks in, spread eagle.
And she's like, what has happened to my Star Trek?
This is not Gene's vision.
But,
no, she's not like that.
But that's, well, at least she got to see a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe now she's intrigued because she knows that it looks better.
Yeah.
I don't know what she thought I was talking about before.
I mean,
but
yeah.
I love my mother.
If she thinks this animation looks good, she should see Prodigy.
Oh my God,
yeah. That looks beautiful.
There's only one joke in the episode I think they could have made better with timing. And it was actually the one that was the pre-teaser.
Yes.
I think had they not cut to the bridge, the joke would have been even funnier if they were just like, isn't this beautiful? We're all together, and the ship just warped away. I think that the joke would have been like 10 times funnier if they just didn't.
You know what my
cut to the
problem with the
bridge.
teaser was? They'd already included it in a trailer, so I already knew what was happening. So like I've had that problem sometimes with Lower Decks, that they'll include something and then I'll be like, I've already seen that. It's not funny now that I'm seeing it again. But the teaser is like the only part that didn't quite work for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
But wow, yeah, listeners, mark your calendars. This day, we all like the Lower Decks episode. It's crazy.
I don't know if I should put that in the episode description or let people be surprised.
You should let people be surprised.
Let people be surprised, definitely.
Yeah.
You should put redacted over it, like a redacted black line over. This is what we thought, and then
There you
Figure
go.
out how to make that work. I will do that if I can figure it out on Twitter and Facebook.
Any one of the million canon connections on here that anybody wants to call out that we haven't addressed yet? Because there was a lot of canon connections in the show.
Yeah.
Heather, anything other than what we've talked about that stuck out to you?
The silver blankets after they got back into sick bay from being stuck outside.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I like seeing those.
Chrissy, anything for you?
The list of scenarios that was 90% a list of episode titles. That was good.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to call out. Yeah. Justin, anything?
I'm here for any crystalline entity references. So
Oh,
I like
yeah,
that.
we didn't even talk about
we
that.
didn't even
A lot
talk about
more.
that.
Yeah.
And them trying to get out of
A lot of
space
the
dock.
crystalline
Yeah.
entities. Yep. You didn't call out your TAS reference there to the Pandronian.
I did earlier. I talked about the Pandronian,
Oh.
but I love that.
I must have tuned you
no,
out.
it happens. No, and I have to say it's kind of funny. He probably doesn't listen to the show, but the Trek Core review, I think Alex Perry was saying that he's getting a little tired of some of the TAS references, but my reaction is, I want all the TAS references. Bring them all on, please.
Yeah, please.
I love that show.
Alex Perry's complaining that there's too many TAS references.
Yeah, well, I think he's saying it's getting to the point where they're just doing one like almost every episode, and it's a lot. But like, I'm here for it.
I mean, there needs to be more DS9 references,
Well,
for
yes,
sure.
of course.
Yes.
But I mean, it's wonderful to see the TAS references.
Yeah,
'cause it's been
I think
under-
what we really need is a cameo by Benjamin Sisko, but there is some reason why he always gets cut off and can't speak to get around Avery Brooks not doing the character.
Like Morn.
Oh, that would be funny.
It would be funny if it was like Sisko doesn't have the opportunity to talk and Morn actually talks like the whole time.
Oh,
Because he could this time.
What if the whole
Yeah.
episode? What if the whole episode is Q and he's actually taken away Sisko's voice, right? And they got to get it back, and then at the end they could just play a song from his album, and he just sings like,
Oh, wow.
or like from the end of DS9.
That'd be
Yeah.
good.
And
That'd be
hey,
good.
here's Vic Fontaine to do a duet, and they just use the audio
Yeah.
from Bada Bing Bada Bang. Like that would be the ultimate trolling that Lower Decks could do. Hey, Sisko's going to be in this episode, and he says nothing.
That would be really funny. That would be hilarious.
It would be, but unlikely.
Okay. Heather, thank you so much for joining us for the discussion today. Please tell the listeners where they can find you online.
Okay, well, the easiest place to find me is on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @nerdygal33. And if you want to listen to me ramble more about Star Trek on my own podcast, it's called the Promenade Merchants Podcast, and you can find us at Prom Trek Pod.
Awesome.
Excellent. Right on. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was great to have you on, and, we'd love to have you on for the show again. So it sounds like we're going to be busy talking about Star Trek over the next little while, like for the next
rest of our
forever,
lives.
apparently.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll get you on again for sure. Justin, where can people find you when you're not dishonorably trying to kill a Klingon?
Yeah, I know. You can't kill them fast enough is how I feel. Oh, that's my Mirror Universe self. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back. So you can find me.
The only good Klingon is that. Wait, Justin.
No. We could have a whole historical diversion with Chrissy on that. Anyway.
Yes.
You can find me on Twitter, not talking about killing Klingons, at TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek. And you can find me in our Facebook group, the Federation Council Chambers. I hope you will join us there. And for the second week in a row, I'm going to say don't post your naked pictures, even if they have a black bar on them, please. Let's just have intelligent discussion, okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
Chrissy, where can people find you when you're not fantasizing about Shaq stretching in front of you?
Long
Okay.
pause.
I would say there. Okay. He's not the worst looking guy on the crew. All right. Yeah. So in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on the OFP Network, and I do that show with my partner Jason. And I'm happy to chat about all of our shows in the Federation Council Chambers on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter at the Goddess Livia. That's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. And also, I was on the episode of Galaxy Class that dropped on Friday, I think. We were
nice.
talking about Captain's Holiday versus Dark Page, and we discovered that.
I was going to say Captain's Holiday, another horny episode.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, if you think about it, he had as much covering him as Boimler did.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to
silver.
mention it. Trekcore noticed that when Stevens is riding Ransom, he has a little Horgon in his hand. Go back and watch it.
I have to go back and
Oh,
watch
Lord.
this.
But sorry, go ahead.
It's beautiful.
No, it's all right. So
Captain's
we
Holiday
did
versus Dark Page. Those are quite different episodes.
Very different
It was
episodes.
an interesting conversation, and we determined that Picard may have been able to stop the Romulan supernova if he just hadn't destroyed the Taxutat.
Yeah. Okay, Supernova is all his fault. Got it.
So go listen to that. Yeah.
So if he would have just taken the Jamaharan, Romulus would be fine.
Only if he didn't then blow up the Taxutat. Anyway.
Well, is that what you want to call it?
Yeah,
That's another
okay,
way
there
to
you
call
go.
it. So,
Hide it in the Horgon. Yeah.
and as for me, when I'm not partaking in my holodeck fantasy of being tied up by the Borg Queen, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Matella. I'm not really participating, but the account's still there. As I did say a couple times, it's been 3 weeks as of today that I've been off, and I'm definitely going to be off for another 19 days because I gave myself 30, and I decided to do the 40 days that quote-unquote people do for Lent. So it's
Make
gonna
it
be 40
47.
But
There you go.
there you go. Maybe I'll go 47. You know what? At this point, though, I may not be back. I
that's
don't know.
okay.
Like I'm
I
happy
don't
to be
blame
off.
you
I'm pretty
in the
happy.
Still watch you
slightest.
here.
So you can find me here And then you can find me on the network with a couple other shows. One is called Infinite. Oh, that's this one. Infinite Diversity.
Yes, you are on this show now. Thank you.
Franchise Fatigue is all about movies, remakes, and sequels, and we are in the middle of our Mad Max series of episodes. You can also find me on the Fandom Podcast Network, as well as in our own independent feed with Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast, which is all about Hitch's films in chronological order. And we just had a great crossover episode with Anya and Catherine of Good Evening and Alfred Hitchcock Presents podcast. They came on to discuss The Wrong Man, which is one of his, forays back into his original type of filmmaking, I would say, after some big adventure films and whatnot. So that was a really good discussion. Yes, excellent. And also here on the network, you can find some other wonderful shows. We've got Galaxy Class with Rhea, Kevin, Amy, and Joe. And they talk about all TNG all the time. Chris Tribuzio, Patrick Devlin, and Casey Pettitt. They talk about all things under the Disney umbrella. Over on Mickey's Marvels, Cavante Chillis and Lance Laster discuss all things that make Arrow Arrow on Always Hold On to Arrow. And Ken Tripp and Zach Moore have a Bigfoot multimedia podcast called Sasquatch. Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to our executive producers, Ken Tripp, Tony Robinson, and Zach Moore. Thank you to Zach Tripp, for the wonderful theme music, and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe. If you want to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at UFP Earth, or our show and specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the UFP podcasts in our Facebook group called the Federation Council Chambers, or you can email us at infinitediversity@ufp.earth. On the next episode, we will be talking with Una McCormick, author of the book she recently edited, The Autobiography of Mr. Spock. And I have a good intel that says that's a pretty fun discussion and a pretty good discussion.
I see the future, and it's going to be great because we recorded it yesterday. Oh, sorry, I was not supposed to say that, but yes, it's a great interview.
Yes, it is.
Excellent, right on. Well, until next time, naked time.
Naked time and long naked time.
I don't know what to say to that. Okay.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.